Today is a great day for you because I'm going to talk about your sun sign, or perhaps it is your ascendant. Whatever, you're interested in this sign and you're also interested in knowing or discovering what various configurations may produce along the line until the end of this year, 2026, which is going to be quite an interesting year for sure, for many reasons. And so you are going to begin the year quite strongly, but you're also going to end 2025 in a very strong type of connotation. Let's have a look at the chart, and I will explain what may result from such configurations. Here it is. So Capricorn is this sign here, number 10 around the zodiac, and as such it's today number 1, naturally, because it is the one we are talking about. So the others are just following. So Aquarius is the second sign, Pisces the third one, and so on. And that will be useful to sort of explain to you in what area the energies of the transits may very well have the most influence. You are going then to begin the year and end 2025 very strongly. The reason is that you see here, we have Venus. Venus will enter your sign just before Christmas, on Christmas Eve actually, on the 24th of December 2025. And it will remain in your sign until the 17th of January 2026. So that's a period of about 3 weeks, which should be marked by joy and various pleasures. I would say that Venus may also increase your luck factor, which you can, take advantage of in any way you like, actually. But in parallel to this transit of Venus, Mars is also going to transit your sign. And that is going to begin on the 15th of December. And it will end on January 23rd of 2026. So that is a longer type of transit. It's going to last for about 6 weeks. And it's going to produce an increase in your ability and your spontaneous capacity to react and to do things that need to be done. And that will really help you achieve what you want to achieve during the year. Although you may have to sort of be careful not to overdo what you have to achieve during this period, even though it is very important that you succeed, because that will determine how the rest of the year is going to unfold for you. So while Mars and Venus transit together in your sign, you should have more or less the best of both worlds, as we say. Venus is the goddess of love and Mars is the god of war. So you will be able to really act to defend the ones you love, for example, to defend what you appreciate, what you like, what you love, and to be more creative as well, and most probably more successful. You will be more successful if you don't overdo it. The reason I'm saying that is because during the same period, Jupiter, being in Cancer, forms what we call an opposition with your sign, see? So the opposition, which is in general considered as a conflicting type of configuration, to me is not. There is a challenge for sure, because Cancer is the opposite of Capricorn. So it is the polarity of this sign. and vice versa naturally. Capricorn is the polarity of Cancer. So that means that there is a bit of Cancer in a Capricorn and a bit of Capricorn in a Cancer. Both signs are sort of complementary and most probably can really cohabit in a very positive manner. But it will always be a kind of challenge to make the relationship work and to make it concretely favorable to anything that you may want to achieve in life in this partnership. But this is not the partnership as such, although Cancer is number 7 around the zodiac from your sign or your ascendant. That means that it is linked to the 7th house that actually represents partnership. See? So there is an increase in the need to be present and to act and react and do things to make the relationship worthwhile, which is of course something that can become a source of great motivation. But when Venus and Mars transit your sign, they will increase the energy of the opposition with Jupiter. And Jupiter will tend to make you maybe much more ambitious and much more demanding than perhaps you should be for the good of the relationship. Although you will do all that you will do for the good of the relationship. So it's a kind of game that you have to play, but you have to get the right cards until you present the cards to hopefully get the best out of that game. But the game of life, in the sense that this configuration involves you and most probably another person or other people, is very, very strong. And it needs to be addressed in a very serious manner in order to avoid excesses that may become a source of problems rather than the opposite. So yes, that is something that you need to take into consideration, because after that, other planets are going to come into play, and there's 2 I want to talk to you about are Neptune and Saturn. So Neptune is going to enter in Aries on the 26th of January, and Saturn will follow very close behind on the 13th of February 2026. Both planets will be transiting in Aries, which is a fire sign. So fire and earth for your sign is not the best mixture. I mean, both cohabit on this planet naturally, but try to mix fire and earth and you'll find it quite difficult to get something concrete out of this mixture. So that means that it could affect you in the sense that Neptune represents your imagination, what you hope, what you dream of obtaining, the ideal situation, and so on. And Saturn represents the harsh reality of life, the obstacles to overcome. But Saturn represents Capricorn. So Saturn represents you, more or less. And the fact that it is transiting the 4th sign from your sign puts the emphasis on that area of life represented by house 4, which is your place of residence, family, situations and matters and members, and also your close surrounding. So that's where actually you will have to actually act in a very determined manner in view of realizing something that you consider as being an ideal type of situation. And that is represented by Neptune. But because they're in a fire sign, they create what we call a discordance with your sign. And they also will create a discordance with Jupiter in Cancer, even though it's not going to be a very strong discordance because Jupiter is far into Cancer and Saturn and Neptune will just enter in Aries. So the aspect, even though it may become a source of confrontations and difficulties, will be quite slight, so you don't have to worry too much. But because Jupiter represents the tendency that we all have at times, to exaggerate, don't exaggerate either way, like the positive side or the less positive side, because then you would be probably risking to make mistakes that could have more or less long-lasting repercussions, because the transit of Saturn is going to last for more than 2 years in Aries, and the transit of Neptune is going to last for about 14 years in Aries. So that could produce a tendency to really wonder where you should be, where your best place on Earth is, and that may also contribute to some disappointments as far as family is concerned, the place of residence, and your relationship with everyone around you, members of your family or other people close to you. So yeah, you'll have to take it easy, especially until the end of June. Talking about Jupiter, which I mentioned earlier on, the planet has entered in Cancer on the 9th of June 2025. And the transit will last until the 30th of June 2026. After that, as you can see here, it will transit in Leo. And Leo is in harmony with Aries. So that is going to change the energy of Jupiter to make it more positive and favorable to progress and success than when it transits in Cancer. Because the link here will increase the positive influence of Saturn and Neptune, and at the same time, of course, the positive influence of Jupiter. Now, Jupiter is going to transit the 8th sign from your sign from the end of June until the 27th of July 2027. So the transit lasts for more than a year, a period during which you should probably invest. The notion of investment is represented by the 8th house in astrology. It's investing, it's anything to do with inheritance, it's anything to do with real estate and with money. So if you want to invest money, it will be better for you to do so from the end of June 2026 until virtually the end of July 2027, because this period will be much more favorable to an increase as far as the notion of return on investment is concerned. So, according to what you want to achieve in life and what is your situation, what is your position, what is your chart as well, you may want to get a full reading of your chart for 2026. So if that's the case, we can answer your questions, and you can just visit our website and you'll find the information to order such a reading. But when Jupiter transits in Leo, it will also create a discordance, or what we call, or what the astrologers tend to call a discordance. It is an opposition with Pluto. Because Pluto is in Aquarius, and when Jupiter transits in Leo, which is the opposite sign, naturally it creates what we call an opposition. And it creates a potential compatibility between both planets. You see, Jupiter represents what we want to achieve. it represents our ambition. It represents also a type of opportunism that we show from time to time according to the situations and so on. But Pluto across represents what we don't want. So on one side you have the nothing planet. I don't want nothing. I'm not interested in anything because Pluto is the god of death. So death is the end of life. And then after that, you prepare yourself for another life, perhaps. But it is the end of life. So it is what needs to end in your life in order for Jupiter to be active in a positive manner so that it can provide more of what you expect from life rather than the contrary. So there is a kind of sacrifice to accept, to make. And once that's done, then you can achieve more. Then you can be rewarded for the sacrifice that you may make. And because Pluto transits your second house, it's in there in Aquarius since the 20th of November, 2024. At the time, I wrote a book about it, and I also conducted a webinar. If you're interested to find out more about the potential of this transit, which is going to last for about 20 years, don't hesitate, visit the Amazon website in your country, and you will find this book, which could be quite informative and useful in many ways over that period of 20 years. Now, what happened in this type of configuration is that the sacrifice demanded is somehow something quite material, because it is transiting the second sign from your sign, which is the second house, or linked symbolically to the second house, which represents your relationship with money and the way you earn money and so on. And it represents food as well. So there is a sacrifice. There is something most probably that you need to lose. It could be money or something else. It could be also, if you want to lose weight, for example, what you're going to do, you're going to change radically your diet to, allow your body to regain a weight and a shape that you prefer. And that may be also better for your health. But because of Jupiter across, you may be tempted to overdo it. So be careful, because the sacrifice that you may have to make is okay if it is reasonable. But if it is too much, then Jupiter will find it very difficult to sort of, make that reward that you may obtain from the gods. Every sacrifice, like the ancients used to make, were supposed to bring rewards. So the reward may not be exactly at the same level as the sacrifice that you make. So think about it and try to find a middle way so that you are not too excessive in any way, because that would not serve your right, and it may also become a source of unnecessary worry. So just, bear that in mind. But at the same time, Pluto in this sign forms a very nice configuration with Neptune and Saturn, see? And there is even another one with Uranus. I haven't talked about Uranus yet, but I'm going to do so now. Uranus is going to transit in Gemini. Right now, it's back in Taurus. But it's been in Gemini for a little while in 2025. If you want to find out more about this transit, just watch the video that I made for this year, for 2025. Because that will help you understand what I'm talking about now. The fact that a planet retrogrades in the previous sign symbolically indicates that you will need to go back to a more or less distant past in order to assess clearly what you have changed, what you still want to change, and how you need to act to obtain the best results. And that type of results will become possible from the moment Uranus transits Gemini. And that will begin on the 25th of April 2026. It will last for about 7 years, so it's a long transit. But during this period, Uranus and Pluto will be forming a very positive configuration, which we call a trine. So they're going to help the whole world, actually, adapt to various important changes. Some of them may be assimilated to sacrifices, but they are very, and they will be very useful to transform, to change, to perhaps take another direction in your life. And because Uranus is going to transit the sixth sign from your sign, which is naturally, symbolically linked to the sixth house, it's work and health. That's where actually changes are very likely to occur. But they are not going to occur specifically on the 25th of April as soon as Uranus changes sign, naturally. But they will have an effect on your disposition to the change that may be needed in one of these areas, or both perhaps, health and work. So if you want to change your profession, or if you want to, well, change also the manner in which your health is treating you, you'll have to adapt to a new situation and accept to change something very important in order to obtain more. That's all there is to it. You see, those configurations are very, very positive. They're showing a real potential to obtain a much better life during the transit of Uranus in Gemini, and especially Pluto in Aquarius, because while Pluto transits in Aquarius, it will be in harmony with Uranus until the end of the transit of this planet, which is, as I said earlier on, going to last for about 7 years. So 7 years, in my opinion, is a far enough long time for you to change, and to take your time as well to change things the way you want to change them. Because eventually, Saturn is going to reach Uranus, you see. It's going to take about 5 years or maybe 6 years for the planet, Saturn, to reach Uranus. And what you want to change, what you may even change in 2026, work-wise or health-wise, must definitely have a very strong sort of consequence 6 years later or so. Now, you can have a look in the ephemerides, if you know how to do it, when this conjunction is going to occur between Saturn and Uranus, because that is going to settle the change. So that gives you time, to prepare yourself for the change. And even though you may already have it in mind, and even though it may already be active or become active in 2026, the end result will most probably be on or in about 6 years. So that is approximately 2032. Right, so that's very promising, isn't it? Now, of course, all the planets have a role to play, which is different from one person to another. Not only because your sign or your ascendant is not the same as someone else, but it's also because your whole chart and your life, and your predisposition to to what life is for you is different as well. So all that will need to be assessed if you want a proper reading of all those transits and more, because I've only spoken about Mars transiting your sign, but then it's going to transit the other signs, and it's going to meet with Pluto and with Saturn and Neptune, then with Uranus, then with Jupiter and so on. So every time it's going to have a very strong effect. But I will talk about that in various videos that I'll put online in 2026. For now, that's all I have to tell you. I thank you very much for your attention and for your interest in my work. I remind you about my books if you're interested in learning astrology or in discovering another way of using this art. Then my books are available for sale on the Amazon website in your country. And also, if you're interested in learning really seriously astrology, Ablas has a course that we offer for in various ways. So visit our website and you will find all the information you need to make a choice. So that's it. I wish you a very nice, prosperous 2026, and I will, of course, be present on this channel over the year for the new moons and the full moons readings, and for other readings of various important events that are going to occur during that year. Thank you. Bye for now. All the best. Take care.